So the TNG Global Foundation have already obtained outline planning permission for the development of the site. They will now require full planning, which means they'll have to do all of the detailed work for each of the areas that they're going to develop. But they now own the land, and therefore they've paid the government the premium that was agreed, and they will do all of the other things that was also agreed they would do as part of the premium, which is not a direct cash payment, and then do the things they want to do here also. I mean, the most important thing that will be essential will be the development of a revetment, a coastal protection arm, which will protect the existing reclamation in case there's a 1 in 100 year storm. That is one of the things that will have to be done before you start to see development on the site. You start to see the revetment on the northern side of the plot, which is the area where Hassan Centenary Terraces is. We could start building the second phase, blocks 3, 2 and 1, until that revetment was done, and TNG Global Foundation have done that so that the taxpayer has not had to fund that.
Has a treaty been included in all these negotiations? Has it formed part of the talking? Because we see a lot of construction going up, but yet our future remains uncertain.
Well, negotiating the sorts of leases that we're negotiating in the context of a development as large as the east side is almost like negotiating a treaty. Remember that on the western side, the reclamations did not include the global, so to speak, development of the plot. They were sold as small plots, which then, for example, Baltica developed for Europort, and different developers developed for different things. Here we're giving one lease to one developer to develop a master development in the area. There is a lot of opportunity for Gibraltar, both if we have a treaty and if we don't have a treaty. It's been described to me by developers as a fork in the road, but a fork that leads always in a positive direction for Gibraltar. If you have a treaty, you have a lot of business options, you have a free-flowing frontier. If you don't have a treaty, people will need to live in Gibraltar. There is a need to keep those who are going to be taking advantage of Gibraltar's fiscal opportunities living in Gibraltar. So, in every direction, property and Gibraltar are always going to go.
We heard last year when the project was announced, the Catalan Bay residents weren't very happy, especially with the marina, or specifically with the marina. What's happened to that? Have you been talking to them?
I've met with residents of Catalan Bay. I understand and share their concerns about pollution. Anything which has to be done in a way that keeps Catalan Bay pristine, and indeed keeps Eastern Beach pristine. And there are ways that can be done, and ways that it will not be done in a way that is effective. So, of course, what TNG Global Foundation have assured me and have assured the planning committee, and I understand that they're in a very fluid dialogue with residents of Catalan Bay, is that any development in this area is going to be done in a way that is not just sensitive, is going to be complementary to Catalan Bay. It's going to make this a fantastic area, not just for all of us who live in Gibraltar and those who may come to live in Gibraltar here, but in particular for the people who already live in this area, the residents of Catalan Bay, and very soon the residents of the first phase of Hassan Centenary Terraces, those who already live at Beachview, and all those who live in the area of Devil's Tower Road, etc.
Affordable housing forms part of the project. Catalan Bay residents have first dibs at it.
Well, there's 100 units in the context of the development, which will be affordable in the context of how we've developed it to the standard that we've developed, and available in 50/50 terms potentially. So all of that is something that I think adds a social value from the development of this plot. Not just that, as you know, that there are many different other things that we announced in October 2021, which formed part of the agreement with the TNG Global Foundation. And I think those are the added value that the people of Gibraltar get, alongside a new city on the eastern side of Gibraltar.
Well, Chief Minister, let's talk money. You just received £90 million. That means you've gone from a £50 million deficit to a £40 million surplus. That's going to put the pressure on you, with people asking you for money, especially with the cost of living increases.
Oh, I wish that government accounts were that simple, Christine. I don't believe that we will be in surplus this year. We will be in deficit. The £90 million comes into not the recurrent income of the government. It comes into the capital account of the government. It comes into what we know as the Improvement and Development Fund. It doesn't go into the government general account recurring income. It goes into a different part of the government general account. It doesn't mean that we're going to be in surplus this year. What will, however, I hope, be one of the things that brings us into surplus is the economic activity that we're going to see on the east side when it starts. So Joe predicted in 2021 that this would be 2.5 billion more of GDP over the period of the development. With inflation, it's more likely to be closer to 2.75 or more billion of development value for Gibraltar, economic impact for Gibraltar. Those are the sorts of things that will produce government recurrent income and will bring us back to surplus, but we're not quite there yet. We have a plan to get there though.
Important that the deal got through before the end of the financial year so you can reap the benefits this year?
Well, it's hugely important that we've done the transaction, because the transaction now enables the project to start in all of the work that needs to happen. The economic value of the project really has begun already, because TNG Global Foundation did not wait to enter the transaction. They were already spending a lot of money on architects, on professional fees, submitting to outline planning. That continues now. It's not a linear curve. You don't see 2.75 billion of economic impact spent 275 million a year for 10 years. So you'll see more activity coming, but we've laid the foundation for this. We now have a project that we are very confident will take off. We're taking a step in the direction of actually seeing the East Side project become a reality, moving from this mound of rubbish, a rat-infested area, as the GSD used to call it when they were in opposition between up to 96, into a real viable development. And I very much look forward to that, and I hope everybody embraces it. I think it's going to be good for all of Gibraltar. It shouldn't be a party political issue. It should be a positive Gibraltar issue.
Chief Minister, does it give you a bit of a cushion for election goodies?
Look, I think that when you come into the final period of the lifetime of any parliament, the government has been working for 3+ years towards the deadlines that our laws set for when elections have to be called. You're seeing a lot of things that had to happen start to happen.